My name is Dylan Justin, and this is my second YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel that's about archery and hunting and things like that, and it's a super fun channel. But in 2024, I started getting more into the gun, especially handgun space. And I did not know a thing about it. I did not know anything about, concealed carrying, and I didn't know anything about, having that mindset of, being, tactical, I guess. If you're coming to this YouTube channel thinking that I'm going to be one of those guys that has a really, pointed hat brim and tactical sunglasses and a big old wad of chew in my mouth, this is not one of those channels. I don't know much about that lifestyle. I had a small period with my county sheriff department that, I got handgun certified, and that was awesome. But I mean, that was a very short period of my life. Everything else I've learned through YouTube. I've learned through having people that showed me how to, even break down a handgun to clean it. So I really don't have the background of maybe what you're used to, but I love anything that has a projectile. I love bows. I am crazy good with slingshots. Projectiles, whatever. But this channel is a little bit different. I really have been getting more into that mindset of being an asset and being someone who is competent with having a gun on me all the time. The world is a crazy place. And so I thought it was really important for me to, if I was going to say, hey, I'm going to carry a gun on me, I should have the training to do that. So luckily, while I was learning all that, I went through that period with the sheriff's department. But I've put a couple thousand rounds on paper. I've put it through a couple different handgun platforms, just really learning the ins and outs of how to be a more competent shooter, how to be a better firearms handler. And that has been a pretty cool adjustment for me. And so this upcoming year, I want to do things like a tactical game. I want to, really, make a better kit setup for myself. I've always been into emergency preparedness, and I think, having a handgun and all those type of things, you have to know how to store that type of stuff. So this is going to be a channel more dedicated to that. As someone who doesn't know anything about firearms, this is probably a channel for you. I'm not going to push stuff into your face. I'm not going to, act like I know everything, because I don't. But hopefully you can learn from my mistakes on things that you don't have to do and things you should do to be a more competent shooter. This is January 1st, 2026. And so what better way to kick off this channel, which I'm calling Shush Dad Tactics. Why am I calling it that? Have a new little one, and I'll probably be filming a lot of these videos when my little one's taking a nap. And so, welcome to Shush Dad Tactics. But to really kick off this year, I am a big everyday carry EDC person. I've been carrying a handgun on me for the past almost 2 years. I've purchased plenty of holsters, figured out what works, what doesn't work for me. Maybe some of those things will work or not work for you as well. So yeah, but everyday carry is something that I've focused on a lot in my time being more emergency preparedness oriented. And so let's talk about what I carry on my person. If you don't know what everyday carry is, it's what you carry every day. Self-explanatory. That can be a whole bunch of things. That could be, tools that you carry on you. That could be, how you dress for the day. Right now, it is cold in the middle of Idaho. So everyday carry, I'm starting to focus more seasonal carry. Right now, I'm wearing a hoodie, wearing maybe thicker pants, boots. Those things go into my thought process, and it's more than just items. It is the mindset, it is the stuff. Also, with that being said, you don't want to have your pockets full of everything. Yes, if you could have everything in your pocket like a Mary Poppins purse, that would be awesome, but you can't. So you really have to learn how to push your items in your pockets to do certain things, different things, or they have to be really specific that you will use them. It's not just space taking up, you know, real estate in your attire. So for me, common things, I always wear a hat. Any hat works. I love these Bass Pro Shop Cabela's hats. Why? Because they're $5. I beat the crap out of my hats. I don't want to go and spend even like $35 on a hat. That is way too much money for me. I sweat. I throw these hats. I've thrown them into water on accident. From knocking it off. I'm a big outdoorsman. I get these hats dirty. I don't want a hat that means anything to me on my head. So I get these cheap hats, and they're great hats. I typically am wearing a hoodie, even during the summertime. Idaho is super all over the place weather-wise, so if I'm starting out the day, I'm probably starting out with a hoodie. I can take it off, layering system-wise, later in the afternoon. By the end of the evening, it will be back on because it will get cold enough for it. Pants, sometimes I'll wear shorts in the summertime, depending on the activity. But I mean, basically, I look like this all year round. So this makes it really easy for me to set up my everyday carry for more than just one season. So we're just gonna go through, talk about the stuff I carry. This is a firearm handgun channel, so I do carry a handgun on me. We'll do another video talking about other handguns that I have. We'll talk about other sort of setups that I do. Like one of the things I like to do, I like to carry crossbody. Like here is my, very typical sling bag that I have. I have a couple of them. There's so many, like I carry this with me to the gym. If you are aware of any of the crazy things that have happened the past couple of years with shootings, things like there's been shootings at gyms. Luckily, I live in a state where I can carry most of the time, and so I carry in the gym. And so I have two handguns that are typically in my rotation. One, this is the Canik MC9. Let me show you that it's clear. It is a great little subcompact micro 9 handgun. Unless I am putting it on my body appendix style, I usually have a 15-round magazine in it. I do have a light, just a little O-light, and a basic red dot. I think red dots are pretty universal nowadays, or not universal, I take it back, pretty common, let's just say that. I think red dots just really make you a more competent shooter at any level. Some people say you need to start with irons. I think whatever works with you, do it. I shot with irons for a little bit. I'm good with irons. I grew up shooting irons. Having red dot though really makes a difference. And this 15-round magazine, I have a 12 rounds, a little bit more flush fit magazine with a pinky extender. It gives a little bit more real estate for me to grab. I will carry that a lot of times in the sling bag. I won't talk too much about this today, but I will talk about the one thing that goes into these bags. I have multiple bags. This is probably the one I wear the most because I go to the gym more often than not. But I have this awesome little holster that it's magnetic. And so depending on my gun, instead of having to have a very specific holster, this will go on my full-size handguns, will go on my subcompact, go on to my compact, like my Glock 19 size and Glock 19s. Yeah, this is a great little holster. This is from Tight Chutes. This is, I believe they're M.A.R.S. I'm not sure. I'll be right here. great thing if you have anything that has a Velcro backed pack. So if it's in a backpack or like a sling bag, I can literally move it from bag to bag. Takes no time whatsoever. And yeah, but I almost always have a sling bag in my car. So if I need to, say I take off my hoodie and I'm wearing a outside the waistband holster, I can slip it into the bag. Great item to have. Moving on. So that is one of the handguns I carry. The other handgun I carry, so currently I have a Glock 19. Show you it's clear. This has a 15 round magazine. And then on my other hip, I have a 20 round magazine. It's a 15 with a 5 round mag extender. This is a great gun. It's a Glock. I mean, people will complain saying it's just a piece of metal and plastic. It's stood against time since it's been made. I think it's super reliable. It shoots great. Just like anything in the firearms industry, if people want aftermarket stuff, Glock has got all of it. If you're trying to customize it to fit your needs, Glock is something to go with. Not trying to sell you on it. I think there's plenty of other options. We'll talk about some of my other guns in my collection. But this is the one I've currently been shooting more frequently, and it really is a great handgun. So I do have an outside the waistband holster on today, just because I can cover it with my hoodie or my jacket. A lot of times I do carry outside the waistband. I carry appendix a lot of times more during the summertime, but when it's wintertime, almost always outside the waistband. This is one of the big reasons why I've chosen the Glock ecosystem, because this holster will fit my 19, it'll fit my 19X. I have the Ruger RXM. It's a great clone of a Gen 3 Glock. All my holsters basically fit all the guns, minus my Canik. I also have a Smith & Wesson. I have different holsters for those. That will also take my Glock. I have a couple of universal holsters, but for like really wanting a good holster that one has retention, I think that's really important. It just takes a little bit more time for you to learn how to use it. Honestly, like it is super easy once you have the mechanics down in your head. I love having a holster with retention, especially outside the waistband. I feel like that's super crucial to me. It might not be important to you, but to me, my handgun should stay on my person. Only I should be able to get it. I want to have some level of retention to make sure it stays on me as best as possible. So this holster is great, fits a lot of different guns, and this is basically my two handguns that I have in my rotation almost daily. Maybe not the Glock 19, it could be the Ruger. I have a different light on that, a different holster, but most of the time it is a 19 styled gun. Basic thing, have a phone. This is just the iPhone 13 mini. It's nothing to brag about. It's just a basic phone. Besides my phone, I have a watch on me. This is the Garmin Instinct Solar. This is a great watch. I love that it has the ability to charge in the sunlight. I have it a lot of times on battery saving mode, so I can get my battery life pushed out to like 65 days, which is really awesome if you have a busy lifestyle. Moving into my pockets. We'll start with my front left pocket. That is typically where my phone goes, and my keys. I like to keep as much stuff out of my pockets as possible. A lot of times I'll also carry my headphones in my front left pocket. And yeah, these are just some AirPods. I'll probably be changing these out later in the year, just because those are getting old. The microphones don't really work on them anymore. They're just clogged up with crap. Yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary with those headphones. Nothing's nothing special. Nothing here really is special. Let's move on to my right front pocket. My right front pocket usually only has a couple things. One, because, like I said, I carry outside the waistband a lot, and so my gun typically is in front of that pocket. So I want to only have things that are necessary in that pocket. I usually carry a multi-tool or a knife of some kind. 95% of the time, though, it is a multi-tool. This is the Leatherman Wingman. I've had different style models of this. Like I've had the Sidekick. I recently got the Wingman this past year. This was my dad's. He passed away in early February, and I got this for his birthday. And so this is kind of a sentimental piece for me, but I love this style. I got it specifically for him because he wanted something that had pliers that the spring, they're spring assisted, spring action, I don't know what to say. Spring loaded, that might be the right one. They have just a couple basic tools on it. I love Leatherman. If I'm not carrying a multi-tool on my pocket or in my pocket, I will have it in my sling bag. I will never leave the house without a multi-tool because I think there's so many things that you can do with it besides it just being a knife. I like to have multiple things in my pocket that have multiple purposes, like a Sharpie, right? Yes, you can write on stuff, but like I have basic first aid training, and so the amount of times I've had to like write times on myself of like when something happened at the juvenile correction facility that I worked at, in the jail, you know, marking stuff. Sharpies are the way to go. So yes, no, I really enjoy having a Sharpie in my pocket. A lot of times I'll also have a pen, but Sharpie, definitely a must. And that's it in my front pockets. In my back pocket, I carry, and this is my back right pocket, I carry just a small wallet. This is just a chum's wallet. I don't want anything super fancy or big. It helps me be a little bit more aware of what's on my person. Just the cards I need, some extra cash, and that's basically it, you know. This is, I mean, super minor stuff. We're starting to get all wrapped up with what I carry in my pocket. In my back right pocket, I also carry a small flashlight. This is just the Streamlight Microstream. I've had basically this version of a flashlight on me since I was 14 years old. I carried it with me when I was in high school. People thought it was weird, but my high school had no windows, and it was prone to have blackouts during the wintertime. And the first time people stopped making fun of me for it was when lights went out and iPhones really weren't a thing yet, like how they are now, how everyone has a smartphone. And so, people were trying to use their flip phone screens. And so I had this in my pocket, and literally just having a light just to allow us to be able to see better. I mean, not saying I felt like a superhero, but I felt like a superhero. So I've literally carried this light all the time, and I always have a hat, and the later models actually had a hat clip. And so you could literally take, and I've used it many times from working on my cars to when I worked in juvenile corrections of doing cell inspections and things like that. This light literally has been on me all the time. And the moment, if I've lost it, I will go out and get another one because it is super crucial to me. I've had this one for 3 years now. I think this is probably the longest time I've had one without losing it. I think I've only I've had it for, I think I've had 4 versions of this, but the last 3 all had this reverse clip on it, and that has been awesome. This might be a little bit redundant, but I also carry a larger flashlight. This is for smaller tasks, my headlight, but working in juvenile corrections, I did have We didn't have firearms, we didn't have tasers, we didn't have, I mean, you don't really carry firearms in jails anyways. But at the facility I worked at, we didn't have tasers or OC or anything like that, but could carry a flashlight, and just having just this bright light to, you know, reset an OODA loop, it really was beneficial. Also, like, we had a lot of outdoor activities at the same time for that facility, and so having a good flashlight versus the crappy ones that we'd give the juveniles, it meant a lot. It meant a lot to have a good flashlight, and so this is just the Streamlight ProTac HL. I've had this for probably about 10 years. This is just a really good light. It's really hard to lose a big light versus a small light. So yeah, keep that in mind. So having a big light is as much of a pain as it might sound like carrying. One, after you carry it for like a couple days, you forget all about it. So get over it. Two, just super good. But this light, I will always carry this light, even if I don't carry this light. So yeah, but this is basically all I carry in my pockets. Nothing really changes. Maybe I'll change my sling bag depending on what I do, or if I don't want to draw as much attention to me, or I don't want people to think, oh, what's in that bag? Even though all my bags are typically black and have no real big logos, I still have bags that, you know, maybe may make me look childish. We'll talk about that bag later, but this is my everyday carry. Nothing crazy. I mean, minus having the 2 handguns, like I've bought those at different points. If I was to take off one of the handguns, it would probably push, like I found most of these things on sale, on deals. If I take away my phone, we're probably looking at an everyday carry loadout that's probably under $1,000, maybe a little bit more, but I've gotten most of the stuff on sale. And so on sale, clearance, used, I check the used market all the time. Really, it's super beneficial. And also all my stuff I've had for a long time. Like between these 2 flashlights, this knife, my AirPods. I mean, this right here combined probably was $300, but this is $300 over 10 years, if that, you know, like that is very doable. I did not go out and get all this stuff at one time. So have your EDC set up to what you can have and to what you can afford. So yeah, nothing crazy. This is probably a bit rambly. This is one of the first times I've done a video like this. So this will hopefully get smoother, but yeah, nothing crazy. When it's all said and done, like I'll cut to a clip of it with all of the stuff on. It's pretty well concealed. I mean, even with my outside the waistband holster, I carry all the stuff in a way that it doesn't bring attention to myself. And that is basically just, that's it. This is the first video. This is me doing a, you know, what's in my pocket 2026. It might change throughout the year. If it does, you'll probably know about it. But yeah, this is gonna be a really fun channel. Welcome to Shush Dad Tactics, and we'll catch you on the next one. So, bye guys.